All right. Welcome back to 755 Forever. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer at The Athletic, with Eric O'Flaherty, the former Braves reliever, the left-hander, my co-host. What's up, Eric?
Not much. How about you, Dave?
Nada, man. I was watching after the Braves took a couple of steps back today. It seems like it's a couple of steps forward, one back lately. But after they got shut out for the first time since May 2023, they have by far the longest streak in the majors. They were the only team that hadn't been shut out this year. But
Yeah.
they'd gone almost since the end of the 2022 season, since May 2023. So, but anyway, got shut out. Pavetta really shoved today. Pavetta, when he's on, man, he's tough to hit, but that's no excuse. I mean, the Braves should have had more than one hit, all game. They just didn't have anything going on today. And I thought Schwellenbach showed how little experience he's got. This is a guy with they were talking about it on a broadcast. This is a guy with less than 200 innings of experience, college and pro combined, because he only closed 1 year at Nebraska. And then he's had one season in the minors. So this is less than 200 innings of college and pro experience. And it shows. I mean, I thought really good stuff. And I love his mechanics and all that, but he would have like 0-2 counts on guys and throw a hittable pitch that was like way too hittable. It's like, no, you don't, that's not the pitch to throw there. And he's got about 4 pitches. So I just think
those lessons, though. I mean, those lessons are learned over time. I mean, you do it enough, you're like, it's ironed into your head at that point. But initially, especially lower levels, and you have the kind of stuff he has, probably get away with those mistakes more often in the minors. Then you do it in the big leagues a few times, and they make you pay for it, and that's how you learn the lesson.
And facing a more patient team than he faced last week, and this team obviously is going to have some video on him, better than they would have facing minor league teams, So not real surprising. I don't think anything less of what I think his ceiling is. I really like this guy. I just think it was rushed to get him here. They're trying everything, to fill that 5th spot. See if they can get lightning in a bottle. See if they can get a guy to really step forward before they have to decide before the trade deadline, do we need to go out and get somebody? So you try everybody, and I think they'll try Hurston Waldrop, and maybe he'll be the guy. But if not, you go out and get a guy. But I think people need to remind themselves when as far as the pitching is concerned, when your biggest concern is the 5th spot in your rotation, there are so few teams in the majors who have
every team wants that problem.
Even 2 lockdown guys, much less 3, which is what the Braves have right now. And Charlie's not bad in the 4th spot at all. He's better than 90% of the ones you're going to get. But what they have in 1, 2, 3, those guys are just rolling right now. I mean, they just got to keep them healthy. And you don't need to worry about your 5th starter, but it is something you want to take care of during the regular season, because you don't want to have to keep cycling guys through, and you don't want to have to wear out your bullpen and all that. But
well, you're probably thinking too, like there's a chance that one of these guys isn't one of our top 3 gets hurt.
Sure.
So you have to have that depth.
Yeah. But meanwhile, what the first 3 and even Charlie most days are doing to preserve the bullpen is phenomenal. On top of what they're doing with the extended periods of sub-2 ERA pitching, what Sale, Fried, and Ronaldo Lopez are doing is phenomenal. I mean, and that's the reason that, and Marcell Ozuna is the reason why this team is still basically the same record as you had last year, instead of being about 500 team. I mean, that's the difference makers right now, because nobody else in the lineup has really gotten gone for any extended period. Although they certainly have shown encouraging signs lately, especially Olsen. He's hit for a few weeks now. They're going to have some dog shit games where nobody's hitting like today. But he's hit a lot better. Kelnick has hit much better.
He looks way better.
Way better. And the defense has been phenomenal. He made a great catch today, and I think they avoided what could have been a catastrophic injury to lose him. Then you would have had to go out and get somebody. But he did one of those sliding catches where a lot of guys get hurt. We seen Duvall get hurt a couple of times like that.
Yeah.
Sliding catch, his glove hand got twisted underneath him. It was a great catch. And it looked bad initially. Looked like it might have
his
done
wrist or his thumb. I couldn't tell.
I think it was the thumb, but they had the wrist taped. So,
Okay.
but he stayed in, and then they pinch hit for him, but that was more because they're getting blown out, and why not get get Pete Martinez an at bat and get him out of there and get it on ice and see what. But the fact that he stayed in was a really good sign, and also avoided what looked like a bad injury. Although, if you've seen enough of these things, you knew that when Sean Murphy got hit last night and it immediately exploded, it got huge before he got to first base. It was like within 20 steps, it was huge. Well, that's not what happens when somebody breaks a bone. That's a bursa sac. That's those elbows. And that we've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
And we saw Tyler Flowers get hit one time on the arm, and it immediately went up like that.
Yep.
But I thought when Murphy got to first base and was shaking his arm for the trainer to test it, I'm like, that's not broken. I mean, it's not a broken, because you're not going to, he's going to be excruciating pain if you break your elbow, break the tip off.
Probably more just like, is this okay? Can you guys just come verify that it doesn't hurt that bad, but it looks like there might be a problem here.
It looked like there was an egg underneath there, if not more. The good news was it was mostly gone today. So they obviously put it on ice, took care of it, gave him some medication, gave some anti-inflammatories, whatever they had to do. So he's going to avoid the IL, and probably he wasn't going to catch today anyway. It was a day game after a night game. So I'm not going to be surprised if he's back in there tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then certainly the day after. So, but that was kind of scary initially because he got hit right on the elbow and you thought, oh shit, but so that's back-to-back days where it looked kind of bad initially, and neither one of those guys was hurt bad. So they're going to face the Nationals for another really weird scheduling. You just played them in a 4-game series here.
I've never seen this.
I haven't either. Now you play them in another 4-game series there.
I've seen it with threes or a 3 and a 4, but not 4 back-to-back 4s, this close together.
8 games against season. One team in a span of like 13 games.
Yeah.
So that's weird. But the Braves are going to run. They're all 4 of their best guys out there, starters. So they got a real chance to do some damage here, win 3 out of 4 like the Nationals just did to you down here. But, I think overall, I'm not going to, today was terrible offensively. They look bad, but I'm not going to change my opinion on what they've done the last couple of weeks. It looked a lot better, and some guys are hitting the ball. Today was just not one of those days. But anyway, I was watching Skeens tonight, so I was telling you, I was watching the Pirates face the Dodgers. And, man, when he faces – I mean, that guy's just ridiculous stuff. But when he faces a team like the Dodgers, it's a little more difficult than facing the teams he did before. I think he faced the Cubs twice. The Dodgers have just got so many guys up and down that lineup. But he made Ohtani look terrible in the first at bat, blew him away, and then Ohtani gets a home run off of him. But second, third time through the order, he wasn't just mowing down guys like he did the first time through. So even a guy that throws 101 and has a nasty split, even those guys need to get experience before they can handle a lineup like the Dodgers, dominant. But they won.
It's when it starts to actually, you face those really, really good lineups, that's when it starts coming down to pitch selection and execution and stuff. Like if 3 out of 4 teams he faces, he's just going to be able to show up and use his best stuff. But those deep lineups of experienced hitters, they're going to make him pay for mistakes. They're going to sit on pitches. They're going to have an approach against him, and that's why the Dodgers are always so tough, because it feels like a uniform approach that they're taking against the pitchers.
And not to equate that with the Red Sox, because they're not a great lineup, but they do have a few experienced hitters in there, and they made Schwellenbach work today, and he gets up 0-2, and he's got to learn what pitches to throw on 0-2. I mean, he had a great catcher, an experienced catcher that back there putting out signs for him, but he was missing a little bit, and he was leaving 0-2 pitches over the middle of the plate several times.
Yeah.
So he's got really good stuff, but he doesn't have that kind of stuff. You can't just leave fastballs over the middle. He was dotting the corners to get ahead, but then he was leaving plate. It's like he was almost like, all right, I'm going to finish this guy. I'm going to throw him a strike, instead of looking at, all right, I can waste this pitch.
I think a lot of young guys try to be better. That's like the one of the biggest lessons I learned is, like, you'll see a guy throw a perfect slider, right? And it gets him to a 0-2 or 1-2 count. Dirty, they get a bad swing, and they go try to throw a better one. And when you up that effort level or try to put more spin on it or really yank it, that's when you cast it and leave it middle. And that's just a lesson. It's one of the hardest lessons to learn, because you get a guy 1-2, get a bad swing, I'm going to punch him out right here. Here comes my best slider. And 90% slider is probably the best one, but you go to 100, hang it or leave it in a bad location or pull off it and bad things happen. It's really hard to just trust that last one was perfect. Just do that again. Everybody always tries to be better. And you're at Fenway, you're facing, big names, certain guys you've seen before, and you just try to do a little too much. And it's just one of those lessons you learn over time. But that's the experience thing we're talking about.
And that's why I hope they keep him up for another start. I haven't seen that they've optioned him yet, so I hope they keep him up. They got they got an off day before Baltimore. They got the 4 nationals, and they got an off day. So I mean, they can option him if they want, or they could keep him up and give those guys an extra day of rest and all that. But I like having him here because he just had a week here, 6 days here, to talk to guys like Freed and Charlie and Sale. And after a day like today, I think you can really learn a lot talking to those guys and being around and them showing, because I see those guys sitting in the dugout all the time, like a couple of the starters who aren't pitching that day, and Freed and Sale and Charlie, they're all great about talking to these young guys. And I just think he can learn so much more doing that than he can learn, blowing away AAA hitters or AA hitters, wherever he was. Now he'd be in AAA. I just think that's like going to school, having those guys and the backup, the second catcher in the dugout, all. So here's what you didn't do, that kind of thing. So
we just have a conversation with them, what they saw, and the things that, like what I just said, that was something that somebody taught me. It was a player telling me after I hung an 0-2 slider in a big situation. He's like, "Why do you think you hung that?" And you talk through it, and they say, "Well, I was trying to throw the dirtiest, slider ever. It's my first month in the big leagues, big situation. I got caught up in the moment." And you have these conversations, and then pretty soon it's like you've thought about it, you've talked about it enough. You get the next time you get in that situation, you're like, "All right, that one I just threw, that's the pitch. I got to swing and miss. I got the result. Just stay right there. Stay at that effort level." And pretty soon it just becomes second nature. It's not something you have to think about, but initially, you kind of got to take a deep breath and have those thoughts and apply them.
And I saw a couple of guys talking to him in the dugout after the Cranny talked to him right when he came out, was talking to him for a while. And one of the other pitchers was talking to him too. So anyway, growing pains, growing baby steps. Just remember this guy, this guy's right up there with Smith Shawver as far as not pitching, not having much experience. I don't know. I'm sure he pitched in high school, but talking about he didn't even pitch the first couple of years at Nebraska. Then he was a closer. So he's really had 1 year of starting.
I'm sure I've said it before, but there's certain guys that are so athletic and have such good stuff that it's hard to learn, at these lower levels. That like for me, I started having to learn in single A. But there's guys with this kind of stuff and like Smith Shawver or somebody that they're not going to. Felix Hernandez was a great example. I watched him just blow through the minor leagues, 97 with a 12.6 curve. And then you get to the big leagues, and that's the first time, okay, now people can handle me and I have to compete and pitch. And you can't learn those lessons in the minors when you if your stuff just walking through the door is good enough to throw 6 or 7 innings, how are you going to learn to think through an outing? If you could just show up.
From grown-worthy dad jokes to patching up skinned knees, your dad is one of a kind. This Father's Day, give him a gift that is guaranteed to take him to his happy place. Omaha Steaks. Order mouth-watering gift packages starting at just $89 when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code FOREVER at checkout. Each package is backed by their unconditional money-back guarantee. Show your dad the love he deserves with a gift as unforgettable as he is. Visit omahasteaks.com, promo code FOREVER at checkout.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Here's your latest trivia question brought to you by Gerber and Holder, attorneys who only represent injured workers. If you've been hurt on the job, go to www.gerberholderlaw.com. Have there been more 4 strikeout innings or more 4 steals by an individual in a game? If you know the answer, email us at 755foreverpodcast@gmail.com. Now back to the show.
I was actually feeling really good, working really well with Murph. Felt like I had a really good feel of the slider, and my curveball was probably the best that it's been all year, and just was relying on really those 2 pitches and just making some adjustments. And yeah, it's not normally my thing, but I'll definitely take it.
Max Fried last night, 13 strikeouts. He set a record for a National League pitcher at Fenway, 13 strikeouts and 1 walk. He gave up a home run, but that happens at that place. But man, this guy is on a roll right now.
I'd have to check the tape, but I'm pretty sure we weren't worried about him after those first 2.
What he's doing right now, he's never been any better than what he's doing right now, obviously. And he's going to make a lot of money. I mean, we're talking $30 million a year with what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I think he's probably the closest thing to Kershaw. You know, with the 96 lefty with a curveball, you know, that big curveball, and just the compete factor that I've seen, you know, as far as just straight comparable, you know, at that age and ability to dominate a game like that.
I still have a hard time even getting my mind around how he got hit like he did in the first start and even the second start. But that first one, I'm like, you know, I know it's his first start of the year, second game of the year, but it really is unbelievable that the Phillies hit him like they did when you look at what he's doing, because obviously he wasn't hurt.
There's some things that happen that the only reason, you know, the only explanation is because baseball. Like there's no other way to even look at it. Certain things happen in the game that you can scratch your head all you want and try to get to the bottom of it, or you can just say that's baseball. And that's, you know, when Max has a start like last night and you could see another team put up 6 or 7 on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's baseball. It
so
just
the
happens.
First 2 starts, 10 earned runs, 12 hits, 4 walks in 5 total innings, first 2 starts. Okay, here's what he's done in his last 10 starts. 1.83 ERA, 174 batting average, opponent's batting average, 237 opponent's slugging percentage, 479 opponent's OPS, 4 home runs, 68 2/3 innings, 61 strikeouts, and 18 walks.
That'll work.
And that's even including the second of those 10 is when he gave up 3 earned runs and 4 walks in 5 innings at Houston. So if you look at it, since they started Houston, his last 8 starts, here's the numbers for Max Fried. 8 starts, 1.57 ERA, 155 opponent's batting average, 211 opponent's slugging, 427 opponent's OPS. That's 8 starts, 3 homers. Today was the 3rd. 55 strikeouts, 13 walks in 57 1/3 innings. But that 155 batting average, 427 opponent's OPS.
Yeah.
1.57 ERA for 8 starts.
Yeah. That's what I love about this pitching staff, though, is you have those 2 lefties at the top that have the ability to, I don't think it matters who they're facing. Like there's a lot of good pitching staffs, but they face those really good lineups and they can get hit. I think with Sale and Fried, when they're locked in, I don't think it's up to the hitter. Like I think they have that ability to dominate at such a level. And even Charlie, honestly, when Charlie has his curveball and his stuff going, his stuff is so good that it doesn't matter how hot of a lineup they run into, they can shut down anybody.
Yeah, that's like back in the day, the big 3. I mean, like Maddox, every once in a while, there's going to be a blip where, you know, every 5, 6, 8 games, he's going to have a game where he gives up 4 or 5 runs. But for the most part, it didn't matter who he was facing because he was better than whoever he was facing.
Yep.
You know? And in that span for Fried, those 8 starts, that's 2 complete games 9 inning complete games.
Damn.
Gone 7, 7, 9, 9, 8, 7. He's
I
gone
didn't realize
7
he'd been
innings
going
in all
that
but
deep.
he's gone 7 or more innings in all but 2 starts in that span, and one of the others he went 6. One where he went less than 6 innings.
That doesn't happen much
starts.
anymore.
No. And he's doing it in less than 110 pitches. 92, 100, 108, 109, 88, 105, 103, 103 last night. I mean, he's really efficient. He's throwing a ton of strikes, but they're good strikes. They're not like today. They're not like Schwellenbach strikes over the middle. Max didn't leave many over the middle, and he's got such movement. It's just
that's what I was going to say. Is like even when he misses middle, he's throwing 2 different fastballs. He's throwing 2 different breaking balls. So it's like he can miss middle, and it cuts or sinks in a way that the hitter's not, looking for or expecting, and they foul it off or miss it. That's just he's doing so much with the ball. It's going so many different directions. I mean, he'll mix his changeup in too, but he'll throw. Sometimes I always have to look at it and wonder if he's doing it on purpose or not, because sometimes he'll throw like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that looks like it cuts 1.5 feet. And I'll think he, yanked a slider or something based on the movement on TV, and then 95 pops up. And I need you to ask him if he's doing that on purpose or if it's just something that happens. But if he could do that every time, it's like a Mariano cutter.
Yeah, I mean, he's a throwback in a lot of ways because he's not up there throwing 99, 100, I mean, he's throwing 4 or 5 pitches every game, and Lopez is throwing 4 pitches every game, and Chris Sale's throwing 5 pitches every game, including a changeup. Max got a changeup too. That's like, man, when sometimes it's like unfair when throws that in there too. But yeah, these guys aren't up there like 2 or 3 pitch pitchers. These are full repertoires.
Yeah, it's not just like he's got 3 pitches, but there's one good one, or 4 pitches and one's good and one's okay. Right. He's got 4+ pitches, 5+ pitches.
So we'll see. I know people don't want to hear us talking about the offense because people are illogical and they're unreasonable, and I understand they're pissed off or whatever, but they just you can't use logic. You can't say they're right where they were a year ago. This team is coming. They don't want to hear, that this team was under 500 in August, because they'll say, yeah, but that team is entirely different. They went out and rebuilt the team. They got 4 outfielders. I'm like, okay, well, who's to say they're not going to go out and get whatever they need this time too? That team didn't have 3 starting pitchers like this team has either, So people just need to be, it's just so negative these days because social media is so prevalent, where it wasn't before, and it gets more so every year, I think. And people are spoiled. They're not used to the Braves, this run they've been on.
Yeah.
They're not used to the Braves falling behind.
I also think, social media is kind of the place to go if you want to speak your mind. And when you do it in the real world, everybody just tells you to shut up. Like if you have just really bad opinions, you can go type them on social media all day long.
Right.
But when you say them at the office, everybody's like, shut up,
Man, it's crazy because you got, like, I had some guy telling me on there, because I just put, the score last night, and the Braves got 1 hit and blah, blah, blah. And some guy goes, oh, you need to have some constructive criticism of this team and give the home fans some reason to believe that there's going to be some accountability. And I'm like, dude, okay.
Who's not accountable though?
But I've written stories where I've quoted the hitting coach at length, the manager at length, the hitters at length. They don't know, other than their chase rate is up, they're swinging, they're striking out more. But it's like they want me to on Twitter, of course, in 100 and whatever characters we have, to explain what's happening and why it's going to be better. I'm like, that's not my job. I write stories and I talk to the people whose job it is that. And I point out the facts that I can get, like the fact that they're chasing more pitches out of the zone, or certain guys are, that certain guys went through the worst slumps of their career, now hitting better, the way that hitting is contagious, so is slumping.
Yeah.
You know, guys want to be the guy, like Seitz said, and like Ralston Riley said, when the slump gets so long and the team's falling behind, there's certain guys on the team that want to be the guy. They step up there with 2 in scoring position and they try to do too much. And of course they know what they're doing wrong, but it's harder to say it than to fix it. You can't just go up there and relax when you're slumping, team's slumping. You want desperately to get that big hit to turn a game around. So
you want to pick your teammates up too. You know, you want your teammate that just struck out. You want to pick him up and do something there. I mean, and that's honestly the name of the game. It's the hardest thing to do. And that's why I'm never too excited about prospects until I see what they do under the bright lights with 35,000, because that's when you get challenged mentally. You got to control your emotions. So as the team slumps and does worse and worse, and there's more and more pressure, and you try to do too much, like it's never good to be trying too hard in baseball. Like some of the best players are the guys that honestly you talk to and they couldn't give a shit. They are the most even keel guys and nothing seems to affect them. And I don't know if that's something you're born with, but you can definitely train it and you can definitely learn it. But it's one of those things that is so hard to apply and slow yourself down in the moment. But that's why you always hear that quote and that term, slow the game down. Because when you slow it down, you realize like, he's going to pitch me away. If I just flip a ball to left, we're getting 2. It seems pretty simple, but it's really hard to stick with that.
Chipper always said, you don't go up there squeezing the bat tight and going 100%, trying your hardest to swing as hard as you can. Chipper said, I forget the percentage, but I think he said 75%, because the guys that are up there going at 75% are the ones that get it done.
Yep.
You know, that he didn't go up there going, all right, let's go. Let's get these 2 runs in, swing as hard as I can, you know, squeeze the bat handle to dust.
Well, you could see it too. You can see certain hitters get in there and they look a little stiffer or jumpy, you know, or they look tense and they swing at a first pitch slide in the dirt and then they get worse and it just kind of steamrolls on them. And vice versa. You could see the guys, and these are the guys that everybody loves. And I know Clutch isn't, I don't even know what the thought is on Clutch anymore, but you can see certain guys go up there, and when there's the most pressure, they look the most comfortable. And they may not always come through and get the hit, but I guarantee they put together a good at bat and barrel something or just miss a pitch. But it's just something that it's the hardest thing to learn in baseball.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of 755 Forever. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/forever to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYDhealing.com/forever. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
So the Braves got 4 against the Nationals, and then they're going to have 3 against the Orioles. And the Orioles are damn good, too. They're only 3.5 behind the Yankees. The Yankees are going back and forth with the Phillies with the best record in baseball. Yeah, the Yankees are 44-19. Braves going to be up. We're going up there to New York to play the Yankees here before long, too, next month. So got Orioles series coming up after the Nats. Really need to take care of business against the Nats. Said that last week, and they didn't do it against the Nats. But before you got 3 up in Baltimore, the Orioles with 39-21. They're 3.5 behind the Yankees. And they are 21-12 at home. The Orioles are. The Nats are 10-16 at home. So they're actually better on the road. They have been. Braves are now 8 games behind the Phillies. So they're getting dangerously close to that 10.5 game deficit they had against the Mets a few years ago. And this is not the Mets. The Phillies are.
No, I mean, the Mets
Phillies, I
hadn't
don't
even been
think
to the
are gonna collapse.
postseason when they were doing it.
Right.
Yeah, it was like their
Right.
last appearance was 15 or 16. This
But
is a
Phillies-
team that's gone deep 2 years in a row.
Yeah. They're 6-4 in their last 10. The Phillies are. The Braves are 5-5. The Braves, I know today was one run. They got shut out, but one hit and they got shut out. But they, in the first 3 games of June, because June has been, almost everybody knows this by now, but May they've sucked traditionally in recent years. In June they've been on fire in recent years. So we'll see if that's just coincidence or whatever. But they do tend to get better as the temperature warms up. The balls start to carry better, but we'll see. But the first 3 games of June before today, the Braves had scored 20 runs, had 4 homers and 10 doubles. They were tied for the MLB lead in June for doubles with 10. Kind of all went out the window today, but they had been doing a lot better in the first 3 games. Of course, that was 2 against the A's and 1 against Boston, was it?
Phillies are 44-19.
Yeah. Yeah, this exactly the same as the Yankees. They're both 44-19.
That's doing it.
They're rolling, man. They're rolling. The Braves are 34-25. Not bad, not much worse than last year. Like I think a game difference now. But you're 8 games behind because the Phillies are off to the best start they've been off to in their franchise's history, I think. Or they were
that's out of your
a couple
control.
games ago.
Yeah, I mean, you don't pick your division. I mean,
how about this? The Braves are as close to the Nationals now as they are to the Phillies.
I saw that. I was just looking at that.
They're 8 games ahead of the Nationals, 8 games behind the Phillies.
That's
and the Mets are only a half game behind the Nats. So
yeah.
Anyway, it's going to be interesting. That Central's going to be interesting. The Brewers have built a 5-game lead here over the Cubs. Everybody else in that division is 500 or lower.
I'm rooting against the Cubs because they fired Rossi. I
Yeah,
thought he was doing a good job.
they're a disappointment, man. They cannot be pleased to be 500 under Council after giving him as much cash as they did. But Dansby's not hitting, man. He's down the bottom of the order right now. He was hurt a couple times. He's not hitting. So, all right. Well, we'll see what the Braves can do with all their best 4 starters going against the Nats and see if this offense can get consistency rather than, one good game. So far in June, they've alternated 1 good game with 1 bad game through 4. So they got to get going, get on the groove, and I'm sure they will. It's just a matter of time. But, hey, I know it's hard to watch it until they do because today was a really tough game to watch.
Yeah, ugly. And you get to the point where it's like, I know they faced a lot of tough pitching, but that's just where the game's at now.
Right. There's tough pitching everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it gets easier.
Right. All right. 7:55 forever. We appreciate you guys watching us, and we'll do it again after this long Nats series. This is the second longest road trip of the year, I think. And there's 2 off days in a road trip. That's also another unusual one.
That's fine. I don't mind burning an off day on the road.
Yeah.
Especially if you got kids, you actually get some sleep.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of guys are the same way. All right. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it.